Hello and welcome to Basics in Pilates planks. We're doing all kinds of planks, from all fours to forearm planks to side planks to even back plank, but all very basic, thorough for everybody, beginners and people who want to go back. So let's go into an all fours. So let's just have a closer look at that all fours position. The hands are underneath the shoulders, the knees placed underneath the hips. That's a classic all fours position. I prefer to have my fingertips slightly faced inwards, so the elbows will just face outwards a little bit. And I try to have a feeling of a big yoga ball expanding in between my arms, between the mat and my chest. So I have that feeling of expansion and width, and that will prevent my chest from dropping down. So the shoulder blades will be far apart, the neck will be lengthening, the elbows will stay micro bent, so I'm not going to be locking into them. And that will all also feed into the core, so my abs are pulling in. The whole front, the whole interior chain is active in a plank. So in the all fours, I have strong ab activity. I will engage some glutes though to support the hips, to support the core from the back. Now here we're gonna just try to lift one hand and not change anything else. And then come back. The spine is in a neutral. We're gonna lift the other hand. So we're neither in a flexion, nor in an extension, but just neutral. So you feel your sit bones facing out to the back. Now as you lift one hand and you try to not shift at all, you try to not change anything about the shape of the spine, you try to not move the pelvis right and left, you already feel a lot of core engagement, a lot of obliques. You'll feel your pelvic floor pulling in. Try to keep your gaze between your hands so the neck will be long all the way through. We need stability in the shoulders, so the remaining shoulder bearing all that weight will have to stabilize. Also an excellent exercise for shoulder stability, rotator cuff. And then stay down with both hands. All fours, solid, spine in the center. Now we're going to extend one leg out without shifting. Same thing. Pulling back. Other side. Try to not shift, but stay in the center, and you'll need a lot of core. You'll need a lot of stability. And for that, your awareness needs to be sharp. Lengthen through the top of the head. Lengthen through your tailbone. Now we want to include the breath. Exhale and inhale. And exhale, pulling the abs in deep. So navel being pulled in on a little thread and tied to your spine. Rib cage is closing. So the ribs are closing towards the midline, connecting to your navel. That will engage your obliques. That will engage your rectus abdominis. You want to draw your pelvic crests, the bones of your pelvis in the front, together. So you got your transverse abdominis nice and active. and then pull your pelvic floor in and up. Again, maybe imagine a little thread, a little string attached, and you can pull it in and up into your abdomen. Last time on the left. And then we'll get off those hands for a moment. Sit back into a child pose, just letting your tailbone drop now, letting the back release, letting the shoulders release. And then we're going to roll up seated, sliding the hands up, and then take the hands behind our back, open the shoulders. And then we'll go back, this time on the forearms though. So for the forearm position, we tend to be a little more comfortable with the hands together. However, to strengthen the external rotators of the shoulders, it's also important to practice the parallel forearms. So try to do that. Have your knees underneath your hips, tuck your toes under, and again, connect to the anterior chain of your body. So that's all the muscles connecting the front side. So we'll have chin chest, we'll have the pecs, we will have the obliques, we'll have the rectus abdominis and the transverse, we'll have the quads even. And then we're gonna lift the knees and just hover them an inch above the mat. Now you feel even more of that whole front connecting. And then come back, inhale. Exhale, lift the knees an inch or not even, just floating up. Full stability in the rest of the body. So the shoulder blades again will stay wide. Your chest is lifted. Ribs are pulled in. Navel pulled in. Use your exhale to lift. That will help you to draw in that whole abdominal wall, the whole front side, pulling into your back. Making sure you have the length in your neck, reaching out through the neck behind your ears. Create space at the base of the skull. Exhale, lift. Feel depth in your work. Feel awareness, that beautiful setup, and then just that little movement with big intensity. Feel the strength in the shoulders. This is going to build towards your plank. We want you all to feel comfortable with your planks. And one more here. And then release back one more time. And then back on the hands. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, the elbows again, micro bent, a slight turn in. It's not wrong to do a different type of hand setup, and you can also have the elbows facing back if you prefer the more tricep oriented setup of the arms. For the shoulder blades, for the width, it is probably easier to keep the slight turn in, the elbows micro bent, a little turned out. Now try to place one foot back, the other foot back, and just find your plank. And we're going to go back on the knee and other knee down. You want to think about the spine being in a neutral. So as you step one leg back, keep your spine stable in a neutral situation. Now as the other one comes up, you need a lot of abs to support that neutral spine, not to have any dips, not to have any arches other than the neutral. So you need your glutes engaged and a lot of abs. Ribs closing, neck is long, chin and chest are close. Now down again. And just one leg up, other leg up. Find the plank, build confidence, and come back. Elbows are micro bent, fingertips slightly inwards if you wish. So feel the strength in your pecs, feel the strength in the core. Pelvis pretty much stays in place from where you started. You don't even have to move anywhere. So you just play around with those legs, one extending, other one. Now let's talk about the placement of the pelvis. So you could aim for a straight line between the top of the head and the heels. However, to really have a good engagement of the abs and to make sure you're not dipping down, I prefer to be a little higher up just for me to really connect and close the front. You're totally allowed to aim for that straight line though, if you feel confident about stabilizing it. One more time. And then we're just going to slowly release down onto the stomach. Have another opening here. And then also a gentle back bend and a stretch for the front side. And then push back. A child pose for a breath. And then let's roll up into seated. And we're going to go into a side plank. The knees on top of each other, the feet on top of each other, nicely stacked all over, and the top arm is reaching up. So very classic short side plank. This is a great one to just practice the shoulder setup, also to work the sides, and then you lift and lower. Pelvis going up and down. You want to engage the abs here too. You want to close your ribs, making sure the ribs aren't sticking out here. Always in a side plank, we need to really close the front. We're working underneath here. We're working from the glutes. Now we want to be right on top of that elbow with the bottom shoulder. The tendency would be to push that shoulder forward, so you need to pull it back, maybe even bringing that upper arm a little forward so you can make sure the shoulder is centered and not pushing forward. Now let's step it up and extend the top leg. We'll have more glutes now. Bottom side buttock. Four, 3, 2, and 1. And then just come up for a stretch. Release that shoulder for a moment. Now we're going to go back and we're going to also try to extend the legs. So we're going to cover that too. Try staggering the feet or stacking them as you wish. Arm up. Again, you want to pull the shoulder back just slightly, prevent the pushing forward as you now lift up and extend both legs. Now make sure you're not rolling the foot. You don't want to be on the actual leg, the bottom part of the leg, but you want to be on the foot. So pinky side of the foot for the back and the inside line of the front foot. And then we're just going to lift, 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 lift. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we'll have one more side bend here. Looking straight forward, looking up, looking down, and release. And let's try the other side now. Again, try to find a good setup here. Elbow pressing down into the mat. Shoulder right on top, forearm facing forward. And then you want to lift out of the shoulder blade. We don't want to sink in here. That's going to compromise the stability of the shoulder. And then the arm up, maybe slightly forward. And we're going to lift the pelvis, very stable. A great opportunity to work precision, to work awareness and quality, to have that whole core engaged, feeling the side working. A great way to get into side planks and get confident in the side planks to later work with the straight legs. And 4 more here. Exhale up, inhale down. And then we're going to extend the top leg and try this. We'll have more glutes, still the side, still bottom side. As you had the bottom side in the all fours or the forearm plank with both arms, now the bottom side is your side. What was the front before is now your side. Later when we turn around onto the back, it will be the back. So it's always that underneath side of the bridge, which is active in any sort of plank. And then release, and we're going to take a side bend here. And then go back one more time for the extension of the legs. Again, make sure you're not resting on your shin. Reaching up, placing the elbow in a good distance to your hip. You don't want to be too far out, or else you're not going to be able to keep the shoulder on top of the elbow, which is crucial for the setup and the centering. And then just reach up. And we're lifting the pelvis. Make sure you're on the sides of the feet. Strong feet. And align your head, making sure the head isn't sinking too low. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Bending over here. Looking straight ahead. Looking up to the ceiling. Looking down to the floor. And release. Now let's try the plank facing up. So as I said before, it is always the bottom line of the bridge. So now we have the back side, the glutes, which will support this sort of plank. On the elbows, we need to push out of the shoulders And inhale here as we lift the pelvis up and lower. Look straight ahead. We need a lot of neck flexors here to support the head. Pressing the heels into the mat. Squeezing the glutes. You'll feel the whole backside of the legs. Make sure you've got your abs working, you've got them connected. Pull the belly button in deep and pull your pelvic floor in and up. Now breathe out on the lift, breathe in on the lower. Four more. 3, 2, 1, and release. Walk up, bring the soles of the feet together and let the hips open. Release over here. And then come back and we'll just do one more forearm plank. Full forearm plank. And again, the forearms parallel, the elbows underneath your shoulders. Now we have the front side active again, bottom line of the bridge. We want to pull the abs in, making sure they're ready. Really anticipating the lifting of the knees, the activity in the plank, and then you don't even need to do anything other than extending the knees. And here we go. Again, think about where you want to place your pelvis. In line here might be a little challenging to then keep the connection between rib cage and pelvis. Maybe keeping the pelvis a little higher for more shortening and activity in the abs. Making sure you can keep the rib cage nice and lifted. Shoulders are supported and wide. Shoulder blades are wide. You just want to hold it, breathe through it. Close the ribs, navel in. Glutes are engaging. Neck is lengthening. Feel the length between the top of the head and the heels. And then release the knees down into the mat again. Just release the feet too for a moment. And one more time, shoulders on top of the elbows. And just extend the knees. Find your plank. Breathe through it. Lots of abs. Take your time to explore. Take your time to scan through your body, to adjust, to lengthen, to connect, and then release the knees down. And pull back into a nice child pose. Some deep breaths here. And then slowly roll up. Take a big circle and big breath. Bring the palms together. Slide down through your center line. And now have fun exploring your planks. Thank you.